Okay, welcome back to another video. This is going to be a workbench video. Instead of a recent workbench video, this is going to be showing you stuff that I've been working on for the last few months. The channel I haven't really been updating as frequently as I was, and there's reasons for that which I'll get into at the end of the video, so if you want to stick around for that you can, but it's kind of boring, but it has a profound effect on me and my hobby, and it will go a long way into explaining why you see so much stuff here on the table. I'm going to break this down into two segments. The first segment is going to be the naval stuff, because one of my loves is naval warfare of all kinds. Spaceship, World War II, World War I, whatever. Anything with boats. And then I have, the second part is going to be broken down to land warfare, which will be the ground figures that I've painted, or the projects that I've been working on. Now, none of these projects are finished yet. And the end of the video will go into that, why that is. But for now, I'm just going to take you through what I've been working on. So I do have a 3D printer. So I have been 3D printing a lot of boats. There's not that many manufacturers of naval warfare. Well, there's several, that's a lie. There's several, but there's not very many. It's going to cost you a fortune to go with GHQ if you want GHQ ships. So I had the hunch, or not the hunch, but a hankering to do World War II naval, but I didn't want to do it with Victory of Sea scale miniatures from like Warlord Games, even though I have those miniatures already. They're a little bit too big. And Victory of Sea is a fine gaming system. It's a fine, the models are good, like whether you or not you like the cookie discs or the cookies that the ships come molded onto or not. But when you're doing especially World War II carrier warfare, you'll see a few carriers here. If they're this close together, it really takes the immersion out of it. So I wanted to go with a smaller scale. So GHQ, a little bit too big for me at 1/2400 scale, although they're excellent models, but it would cost you a small fortune to collect them. So I went online because I have a 3D printer and I 3D printed my own. Now these are I think 1800 scale figures that I've sized down to 1/3000 scale. The bonus for that is I got the scale that I wanted. The negative is that they were really finicky to put together, especially the turrets. So you'll see the Yamato here, you'll recognize that right away. The holes all printed out perfect, but the turrets, because the barrels are so small, I would have to print out maybe 10 turrets to get 3 usable turrets. And then for some of the smaller cruisers, the light cruisers and cruisers over there, especially the heavy cruisers over here, I'd have to print off, I printed off 5 of every type of heavy cruiser in the Japanese Navy. And then I'd have to print off like 50 sets of turrets. But I only managed to get, what's that, 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only managed to get 8. Out of like 25 ships, I only managed to get enough turrets to complete 8 of the ships. And it was a real pain. Oh, whoop, I just kicked myself there. It was just a real painful process. But we'll get down closer to look at the figures. But these are all bought from online, except for the Cruel Sea stuff there. And we'll just take a look at these things individually and we'll get on with the show. Okay, just hold on. So first things first, and most randomly, I printed off some Predreadnoughts. Now hopefully these come through. Come on, camera, focus. These are British Predreadnoughts. Now I haven't put any flags on there yet, and I am also missing the label what kind of ship it is. But these are 3D printed. I just got some of the Black Seas twine I've left over to make look a little bit different. But these are Predreadnoughts. Now I can't remember exactly which ones are which. There's 2 different types here. There's this one, and then there's this one. You can see the turrets look a little different, and there's a cat here, of course. Thank you, cats. There is a Canopus and a Majestic, I think. I don't know which is which, but I printed off four of them. I just wanted to have some fun. The maker who makes these models, like, they're excellent models. Like the decking and everything is really nice. They're really easy to paint. Now, once that person makes some Predreadnoughts of either the French or the Germans or Russians, I'll print off a few of them. But for now, because there's no opposing force to go with this, it was just something to do. Oh, and I also bought the Pacific and Atlantic Sea texture paint from Vallejo, and the foam. Now, I am terrible at this, so it looks garbage, but I wanted to try my luck at making the bases look more like waves. So these were my test for that project, and I would love to finish, maybe make a few other ships once some are made online, and then I will finish that project off and label them and make it all look a little bit more in sync. But there was that. The next thing that I did was I printed off some Thalassa, what are these things called? Trirems. Now this is my test model. I printed off, there's two types, and these came from the Wargames Illustrated website because I'm a Prime member, so I got to download these. There's two types of hull. There's this one here where you kind of see the oarsman down along there, and then there's another type that has like a canopy over it. I painted that one red as a Spartan, this one blue as an Athenian. I still have the little, you can put little soldiers in there or little artillery pieces in there, and they kind of fight on a game board. I'm sure you've seen it. It's called Thalassa. It's very much kind of like, I guess maybe similar to like X-Wing type games where you kind of like, you move your ships on a ruler and whatever. But the red ship I dropped, sorry, bad focusing, I dropped on the way down here, and I shattered this part of it, the ram, and this part of it. So it's straight for the bin. But this was a test panel or a test piece. I think I'm going to make a few more of them. God almighty, I'm bad with this. I'm going to make a few more of them, but that's just something that I'm working on. Also, I printed off a bunch more because I wanted to try an Osprey Blue Book game called, oh my god, about ancient trireme warfare. Man. Poseidon something? I don't know. And then I printed off a little tiny triremes and quinteremes and biremes and all the rest. You just see this scale difference there. So I'm working on two different types of ancient naval warfare, pre-dreadnoughts. The next thing is that I'm trying to bulk out my Battlefield Gothic ships. Now I got these from Soulforge Studios. These are Mechanicum. They're not fully done yet. I just have the base coat down and some wash on there, but this is going to be the start of my Mechanicum forces. I've got another one there, a little light cruiser right here. He's obviously not done yet. God, man, my phone will not work with me today. He's in the midst of getting his base coats put on. These are Mechanicum. This is a Mechanicum heavy cruiser. I can't remember which type it is. Batteries, Dominator or something. But anyway, this is going to be painted up in the yellow and gray of Legio Griffonicus, or I guess the Griffonicus Homeworld, or Griffon, whatever it's called. Essentially, my plan is with the Legions Imperialis game coming out, I want to have some ships painted up in the... Because I remember in the old Epic Armageddon game, you could have like a cruiser on standby to launch like a lance strike or something. So I wanted to have some Mechanicum forces, because I do have my Mechanicum 8mm army already. Even though they may not be based properly, I don't care. I'm going to be playing with myself anyway, so it's not as if I'm going to tournaments. But I want some ships, so I have a whole bunch of these printed off, and until I figure out my color scheme, which I think I'm on the right track, until I figure out my color scheme. Remember, this will look a lot brighter when it's done. This is way too dark because I non-oiled the whole thing, so it's very dark right now. But there's two more steps of highlighting to go, so this will look a lot lighter. But I have a whole bunch of these printed off, and that will make my fourth Battlefield Gothic fleet. So I'm working on that as well. I also got into Cruel Seas. I went to Tista Minis in Hamilton, and they had a box set there, so I bought it, and I painted up these motor torpedo boats. I painted up the entire set, starter set I should say, torpedoes and everything. This is a Mark 1 Vosper. You get 3 of those. This is a Mark 2. No, this is a Mark 1 Vosper, and this is a Mark 2. I can't remember. But anyway, you get 3 in each for the British side, the Royal Navy side. It has little flags I'm going to put on soon too, but I started those. And then you get some Germans. I don't know what these things are called, S-boats or E-boats. Painted that one. Oops. And they're plastic models. There's another type with some lots of guns on there, so you can see the size difference between these two. These are German ships are quite a lot more powerful, it seems. So I also collected that starter set and painted them all up, so I'll just move those over there. And then we'll get on to the meat of what I've been doing the last few months, and that is World War II Naval. Now I mentioned earlier the struggles in getting the turrets printed off on this project, and it has been so deflating trying to get these things assembled to my standard, or any standard really, that I've stopped the project, halted it. So there should be a few more destroyers. There should definitely be a few more light cruisers. There's 2 right there. But I just didn't have it in me. There's just too much going on right now for me to fiddle around with my big fingers on these tiny, tiny, tiny turrets. Like, I'll just take a heavy cruiser here. I can't remember which one this one is. Like, these little turrets come separate, and like, they're tiny, and trying to get them on there properly has just been a real pain in the buttocks. But yeah, this is a Miyoko, maybe? I can't remember. But yeah, I printed off a whole bunch of these little ships, and I'm working on them. But I stopped after this was done, and I have the Americans on hand. I just have not printed them off, or they're ready to go. I just haven't printed them and painted them. And I'm just going to give myself a little bit of a break. Now, while I'm waiting, I'm still trying to find, or I am currently trying to find, little aircraft to not only go on the decks of the aircraft carriers, but also on little stands. So if anyone knows any resources where I can print off some small Japanese aircraft, don't have to be too detailed, just tokens really, I would love that. Now, this force consists of 2 types of destroyer. I don't know which was which, so I'll bring up the larger of the 2 right now. And I got these online. These are all 3D printed by me. Wish I could tell you. Fubuki, maybe. And then there's a little smaller one. He's quite a bit smaller, but he's got more modern looking guns. But yeah, those are the Japanese. There's 10 destroyers in total. 4 of the smaller ones, 6 of the bigger ones. There's 2 light cruisers. Now, I don't know which one's which. One's a Nagara and one's a Tenryu. Here's one of them. Again, I did that sea basing texture thing with it. There's one. Here's the other. It was very hard to print off and get these little masts to stay. So there's those 2. There is 8 light cruisers, of which 2 are... These 2 are the same class. This is the... Oh, what's this called? Barely a heavy cruiser. I can't. Furutaka. The Furutaka. So here's the Furutaka class. Really nice models. Again, these are supposed to be printed off much bigger, but I scaled them right down, and I had a hell of a time getting them to... The holes printed off mint, but the turrets was just a real... The actual, like, turret barrels themselves are so finicky. This particular model... I think the turrets are already on the ship, so these 2 printed off perfectly fine, the 2 Furutaka class. I showed you the Miyoko already. There's 2 of these ones. Now you can see the size of the barrels. When those come off a 3D printer, they're very floppy, they're not very solid, and if you put a support on them, taking the support off actually snaps the barrel. The barrel is so thin that you couldn't even support them, so even handling them was a pain. I had to get pliers and tweezers, and oh my god. Anyway, there's 2 of these Miyoko. I think that's what they are, Miyoko. There are 3 of these, and these are the Mogami class, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong, who knows. You know, the detail's really nice. I'm sorry my big hands are here, but my phone, again, high production values. So I'll show you the two of them. And then this one here is the Takao class, which I had several printed, again, 5 printed off, but only one, 5 holes made it, but only 1 hole's worth of turrets made it. So there's the single Takao in the fleet. Again, I love the bases, even though they're not done as well as most people, but I really like it. Next, we'll go with we did the destroyers, so we'll just take them out of there. We'll go with the battleships. And there's 2 Congo classes. Obviously, I think I printed off, and specifically the Congo itself. So this is the Congo. And then the other one right there, that is the Kirishima, or Kirishima. But you can see the models themselves are really, really detailed and really, really nice. 1/3000 scale again. So there's those 2. There is the Issei, before its conversion into a weird thing. Let me turn it around. There's the Issei, with all of its turrets. Now, you can see there, right here, this turret here, close-up inspection, it doesn't look like it's sitting on its turret housing very well, but I mean, it is what it is. So yeah, there's the Issei. There's only 1 of those, even though I printed off 4 of them. I only got one ship's worth of turrets off of it. Again, I don't know if it's, as you can see how thin the barrels are, very thin. Beautiful models, but a real pain to print off in that scale. This is the Nagato. With its, what does that have, 16-inch guns? Yeah, I think it does. This is the Nagato, or the Nagato, I don't know, however you want to say it. Really nice. And then I did manage to get both of these ships printed off, the Musashi and the Yamato, but I only got 1 painted up so far. And you see even the barrels on these big things are kind of wonky. So there's the Yamato. And then I got a host of aircraft carriers. Now the reason why I printed off so many aircraft carriers is because not only do the Japanese have quite a few, it's mainly because there's no turrets on these ships. So every aircraft carrier I printed off mint, no problems. Every ship that didn't need a turret, like the destroyers, printed off mint, no problems. But anything that needed a turret, the ships printed off, but the turrets did not. So there's a lot more. There seems like to be as many carriers as it does to be surface ships or battleships, and that's just because of what it went through. Well, let's start here with the first one. This little one here is the Ryujo. Now all the decals are hand painted by me. I didn't have any decals, or all the deck lines are hand painted. So that's as good as I could, as straight as I could get for my age. Here's Ryujo, really nice little carrier, beautiful little model, printed off fine, no problems. I do find that in 3D printing that when you find a file that you like the Ryujo, there's not really very many of them. So you'll pay $10 for the file, or $6 for the file, or whatever it is, $4, but you only get 1 ship out of it. Whereas if you print, let's just say he's $4, and then the Yamato is $4. Well, you can get 2 ships, so basically it's like $2 a ship. Well, he'll be $4 a ship, the Yamato will be $2 a ship, and then you'll get things like the Congo, which have 4 in the class, which are $4 as well, so it's like $1 a ship. And then you'll get the odd ones, like the odd ships that cost you $4 or $5, but maybe even $10, I can't remember exactly how much they cost. But you don't get the value out of that file. Like sometimes I wish creators, when they're making the files, even though I understand the thought process, like, hey, all the ships are $5. Let's just say all the ships are $5. Congo's $5, for Taka is $5, the destroyer is $5, and the aircraft carrier is $5. Well, there's only 1 of these in history, so once you print off 1, that model is basically a $5 investment. A destroyer, let's say he's $5. Well, the ship is a lot smaller, but you can print off 20 or 30 of them, so the cost per model goes way down. I think you know where I'm getting here, what I'm getting at. So a lot of these ships are one-offs. Now I printed off 2 of this type, and this is the Shokaku. Now, forget me trying to paint the camo pattern on the deck or anything. No, 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 no. This is the Shokaku, and then for me, the sister ship, the Zuikaku. Now, I try to do different things with the decking just so they look a little different, but those are essentially the same ship. I always get confused, but I think this one here is the Akagi. I'm pretty sure this is the Akagi, although I'm not 100% sure. It might be the Kaga, but anyway, that one's one of them, and this one is either the Akagi here or the Kaga. I can't remember. I'm sure I'm going to get people are raging in their keyboards right now, but there's those two, and then I can't remember exactly which one of these is Hiryu and which one is Soryu. There's this one. God, my camera work is terrible today. There's that one, and then there's this one. Really nice ships, all printed off perfectly nice. That is the naval portion of the video done, and I'm 20 minutes in. Oh my god, I gotta hurry up. Okay, so I'll be back in a second with the land portion. Okay, after that crazy edit, here is the land portion of what I've been working on. Now these aren't done, and I'm not even finished this whole force, but what we have is we have 1870s Franco-Prussian War French and Prussians. These are all plastic parries except for the two metal parry cannons in the background there. I do have two Prussian cannons that I haven't even assembled yet, but I'm currently working on the Prussians. The French are basically done for now. I don't even know what rule set I'm going to use for these. I don't even know. Usually I look up the rule set first, and then I design my army lists, and then I buy the miniatures and I paint them, and everything's done. But I'm doing this in like weird reverse. I've had the Prussian figures for a few years, and only recently did the Perry plastic French come out. So once they come out, now this project can start, but I'm not in the mood to paint it, so it's taking forever. So here's what I've done for the Prussians so far. Here's what I've done for the French. I'll show you in better detail in a second, but just so you know, yeah, so this is what I've been working on. Plastic Perry, let me zoom in here, maybe that'll work better. Plastic Perry French line. Now his bread bag should maybe be white, but some of the pictures I've seen it looks kind of off-white, like a dirty white, so I left it like a cream color. So there's those. I'll just show you a few from each one. Here's an officer. Very basically painted, just to get the stuff done. I might use Sharp's practice or Sharp practice, even though I don't really like the grindy aspect of the game, but it's at least something. I'll show you a guy on an advance. Here's a guy in advance, en avant, or en avant, whatever you want to call it. There's a whole bunch of them. I painted up some, just to give myself a break, I printed up some of them, or painted up some of them as Marines, so they're like all in blue. Or naval infantry, whatever you want to call them. So some of them are naval. In my head, when I was painting them, I'm like, well, I was going to paint a couple of regiments of naval infantry, so I'd have 5 regiments total, 3 line and 2 naval. But then when I was thinking about doing it in Sharp's practice, or Sharp practice, I keep calling it Sharp's, but it's Sharp practice. Maybe it's better that I do the naval infantry as like kind of like the skirmishers. So there's those. I'll show you the cannon. Now, not based yet because I haven't even chosen a basing. But here's the French gun, metal Perry miniature, and then this is the mitrailleuse, or whatever, the little machine gun that they invented. So there's those. I'll put that there and that there. There's an eagle. I'll show you the eagle that I put with the line regiment. And then I'll show you the Prussians, even though I'll not finish the Prussians. The Prussians actually were, I like the models a little better for some reason, I don't know why. But here's the Prussian firing. Now they're very dark right now, but that's because I've got bad lighting in here. But maybe I could lighten up the tunic a little bit, but I mean, it's fine. Just get them painted, get them on out the door. Here's a guy loading. Some of the helmets I think are 1866 pattern, but I mixed and matched. I didn't care. What else? Oh, I'll just show you one more guy. Here's a guy just kind of looking over his shoulder. And then that's it basically for the ground stuff. I'm currently upstairs working on these. I have another set of these base coated today. I'll finish them by the end of the week maybe. And then I'm going to work on some cannons, and then I need to do command figures for everything, and then base them completely. Once I've chosen the basing material that I want to use, base them all in one afternoon and I'll be done. So there'll be an update on that project soon, eventually. And then just for kicks, while I was waiting one day, I decided to convert some Warcry figures, I think. Are they Warcry? Anything. So Warhammer Fantasy figures, I decided to convert some into a 40k kill team, like Darktide game. So here's this is the model I really want. I bought the pack for this model and I just added a gun to, oh Jesus. I just added a gun to his back. They're kind of like witch hunters, which could work in 40k as well. There's that guy. I painted this girl up as like a naval officer with a plasma pistol. The pistol is almost as big as her whole body. I don't know how she's holding it up, but she is. There's this guy originally had like a crossbow, but I gave him like a Vox caster and a sniper rifle kind of thing. This is it's not really a sniper rifle, it's like a Casterkin guard or one of those types of hot. It has a cable anyway that comes out and attaches to a backpack, but I'm using it as a sniper rifle. So there's that guy, and then there's the leader, which is kind of like the witch hunter. I give them a bolt pistol and like a cyber familiar type of thing. And there's two dogs, not that they really matter. These are just contrast painted. Couple of pups. And that was my my 40k kill team that I painted in between projects. So that's everything that I have worked on. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see stuff in more detail. That's everything that I've worked on, the naval stuff and some land stuff. I am working on, next I will be working on some Adeptus Titanicus stuff that I have. I recently went out and bought this guy, a War Master. Now, crazily, it seems like a year ago I could get whatever Titanicus stuff I wanted, but now with LI coming out, everything is gone. Aeronautica, you can't get it anywhere. So I'm going to be working on them. I currently have a bunch of knights that I'm working on, little small 8mm knights I'm kind of fiddling around with, so you'll see them eventually. And in the next couple of videos, or one of the next videos, I will do an unboxing for this, because this came today in the mail. I completely forgot I even ordered it. It was on beside the boys figures. Me and my wife really like that show, so we're going to be looking at these things. So here's the boys themselves. And then an Abomination figure, which I think is Homelander, although it doesn't show it in there, but I think it's probably Homelander. So I'll do an unboxing of them in a couple of videos from now. And I'm just going to sign off here, so we're almost at 30 minutes. So if anyone who's made it that far, thank you so much. The reason why all of my projects are all over the place is because a few months ago I lost my best friend. Now by best friend I mean my cat, and that might seem really stupid to a lot of people, but if I could just take a few minutes to describe it just for myself, to verbalize it to myself. Sheriff was the first pet that I ever had. All the other pets in my life were either my parents or my girlfriend or my wife or her family, all the pets that I was close to, but this was the first one that was for me, that I physically picked out. And back a few years ago, I was going through what could be best described as a nervous breakdown. There was talk for a while of, I was so unwell, of maybe me checking into a facility for a few weeks so they could treat me personally and give me the best type of medication that would work for me. That's how bad it got. But I didn't want to do that. Instead, I decided after much debate and negotiation and pleading, my wife got me to take some time off work. So I took a month off work, stress leave, sick leave. And it wasn't work that was stressing me out, but it was just life in general. But I took sick leave from work, and my wife, she couldn't do that, and she didn't want to leave me at home alone by myself because she was worried about me. So she got me a kitten, and this kitten was sickly, really sick when we bought it. It was about 4 weeks old, and it wasn't doing well. It probably would have died, but she got it for me to look after. So during the entire time I was having like my nervous breakdown and in my recovery, this kitten then turned into a cat, was beside me the whole time. And we brought it back to health, and it brought me back to health. And in all of my videos, you'll see it, most of my videos, you'll see him lying somewhere on the table with me. You'd always see the little ball coming in from the corner. If you watch previous videos, you'll see he has these little foam balls that he loved, and he'd like come up to the table and he'd like push the ball in. And he passed away. I woke up one morning 2 months ago, and he was lying outside my bedroom door, and my bedroom door and my son's bedroom door right beside each other, and he could never decide which room to be in, so we decided to guard us both, so he would just lie in between the two. And that's where I found him, just dead, just cold. One morning, died in the night, and that really broke me. Still hard to even fathom. He was only 3 years old. Genetic heart thing apparently. But anyway, he passed away, and so my hobbying has been completely everywhere. I just don't have any idea what I want to do. I start something and I get easily distracted, so that's why it all looks like a big mess. But my little buddy won't be on the videos anymore, and this is coming down into the basement and showing off my stuff. Just hasn't been something I've been kind of dreading it, coming downstairs and doing that. Now there's stuff all over here. You'll see like Space Marine stuff and some knights back there. This is all my son's stuff back there. He's got the whole room crowded with stuff. I could even just turn and show. He's got stuff everywhere. But coming downstairs and recording videos without my buddy, who was with me at the lowest point of my life, has not been easy. So I haven't done as many updates in the last few months. Just couldn't stomach it. But I'll try and get back at that. Anyway, that is the depressing part of the conversation over. There is a new Broadside Kickstarter coming out, or might be out already, that I'm really looking forward to. So maybe that'll kick me into high gear again. I love naval ships. So maybe we'll do a little video on that next. Who knows? Okay, thanks for watching. If you stayed the whole time, I really appreciate you sticking by and sticking through. And I'm currently working on Franco-Prussian War stuff, 28mm Perry plastics. We'll be back with more on that later. Bye for now.